The thing with not scrolling your phone is that it can be boring and you don't really know what to do or you need to prepare it. So you gotta pick up the book, you gotta go to the guitar. Well, and if your phone is constantly just one grab into your pocket away from you, of course you rather look at dank memes all day instead of do what you actually want to do. Well, I want to change that. May I present my new mini notebook that is supposed to save me from infinite scrolling, a notebook to rule them all, so to speak, stop me from wasting time and do more of what is actually important to me. And this is nothing I solely came up with myself, but this idea is also based on the so-called bullet journal method. And in this video I want to show you step by step how I set up my notebook with the, you guessed it, bullet journal method, and my modifications, and most importantly how you can do this too. So I've been actually using notebooks since like 2015 or so for many years by now. And one thing I've learned over the years is that for me personally, cheap notebooks are far better than the more expensive ones. Because usually when I go to a bookstore, I see those really fancy $30, $40 moleskin dotted premium leather notebooks and instantly fall in love with them. And once I purchase them and have them at home, I kind of treat them far too carefully and want to write and design everything beautifully in most perfect way possible, which kind of defeats the purpose of it, I think. And cheap ones, on the other hand, just let me like jot down my creativity and thoughts, just how it has to be actually in my opinion. And today, because I want to focus on practicability, I don't just get any cheap notebook, but a pocket mini-sized notebook that should stand in direct competition to my phone. It's cheap, tiny, and I've probably used it up in about a month or two or so, but that's exactly the purpose of it. Alright, first of all, what even is the bullet journal method? I make it really quick as this is basically a light version of it, but the bullet journal is a life/event/to-do manager that you can organize in your notebook so that it organizes your life. To get started, we first need to clarify the language we're going to communicate in. And so that we don't get confused later, we will open the first page and note it down here. We have a few symbols that mean several things in our bullet journal. A dot is a task, so something that you need to do. A cross dot is a completed task, and this marks a finished task. If we turn the dot into a right arrow, this means that we migrated this task to another date in the future. And then we have all the symbols like the dash, which is simply a note that we can use for general information, ideas, thoughts, etc. Journal as well if you want. And a circle, which generally is an event, so something that happened or is planned to happen. So, and after that, the first thing that we're actually going to do is to create the monthly planner. So we're going to take a fresh page and the page after that and write the current month on top of it. And after that, we write all the dates of the month on the left side of the page and potentially already mark events that we have to do or that happen in the future. And the right page is going to be the place for all the to-dos that we know we're going to have at some point in the future this month. And this way we have a nice, neat overview of the complete month, of all the events that happen and all of the things that we have to get done. And the same principle actually applies to the next step. We're going to turn the page and the next step is actually the daily planner. So it works pretty much in a similar way. But what we now do is that we just start and write the day on top of the page and write down everything that has to be done this day. And here we follow the language that we defined earlier. So there will be a biology class lab experiment at 10 a.m. So make a circle and note that down. So I'm going to work out with somebody at the gym at 5 p.m. and make a circle as well. Then I have a few to-dos for this day. So I got to work on a group project for English, make a bullet and write that down. So I get a complete maths homework, which is due tomorrow, and I gotta start preparing for the final biology exam. The thing is, I actually already did the homework yesterday, so I can just cross this one out, and today I won't manage to start preparing for the final exam, so I make a right arrow out of it. I'm just gonna write the next day of tomorrow and migrate the task, which means that I migrated it tomorrow. So, and also the teacher said today that something is not relevant for the exam, so I just make a dash and write that down as well. And this is the basic principle that you can use at the end of every day, every week or every month, so that you never forget anything important and always stay on track on all of the things that you have to do. And this is the first part of the notebook. So I will of course leave some pages free so that I can also fill out the next month and the weeks after that. So when I'm bored, I can actually pour my boredom into this little booklet here instead of using my smartphone all day and wasting my boredom by consuming content that is actually not that important to me, and instead spend my time with activities that are actually important to me, that actually get me ahead in life, that actually are meaningful to me, and work on them to actually make progress in these areas of my life. And this is where the fun part actually begins, because besides just using it as a planner, this is some sort of my creative hub as well. And this couldn't be more individual, because your ideal notebook could look completely different than mine. But just think for yourself, what are the 5 to 10 areas in your life that are most important to you, that are most interesting to you, that you want to spend more time with or work on in your life? And here in no particular order, I just want to share some of my favorite ways of actually using my notebook to help me in my life. So one classic that I always like to do is a good old habit tracker. How it works is really simple. I will just write the habits that I want to track on the left side, and what I'm gonna do each day is to just fill out one square at a time so that I get a nice overview whether I actually managed to do all of my habits or not. And it's like really satisfying to just fill out the squares at the end of each day, and it's a really nice way to actually keep track of all your habits. What is really nice is what I meant basically earlier by things that are important to you and that you want to spend more time thinking and working on is, for example, the project pages I have. And one thing that's really important to me is to keep track of projects that I'm currently working on. And for example, we've been renovating at home recently, and there were so many things that actually had to be done, like installing a new floor, painting the doors, buying new door handles, changing lamps, or painting the wall. And it was like really hard to get an overview of all the things that had to be done. It is really nice to actually have some sort of an overview of all the tasks that you have to done in the given project and sort of gamify it a bit so that you can really check things off at the end to really see that you make progress or not. Other things that are really cool are, for example, sleep trackers. As you maybe know, I'm a real advocate of getting a lot of high quality sleep each and every night because it's just so good for your health. I want to really make sure that my sleep habits are all right. Keeping track of the duration and also the time when you fall asleep and wake up is a really nice way to get a nice overview of that. Other things, for example, are mood trackers, which is like a really cool way to generally log your mood and to see patterns. For example, there are days when I kind of feel down and it feels like I feel all the time like that. Whereas if you keep track of it, you get a realistic sense of your mood, and this might be helpful for some of you guys. If I feel in the mood to actually journal a bit and write some things that are in my head down, you can of course do this in the bullet journal part, so in the first part of the notebook. If I expand a bit more on some topics, I like to just open a separate page, and therefore I have some separate pages here at the end of the book for things that I want to journal about, which is kind of cool. And the same pattern actually applies to doodling and drawing as well, because I kind of like to doodle around and draw from time to time. I'm not skilled at it, but it's a bit fun. I could do it wherever I wanted in the book basically, but I just have like these 3 pages that are kind of nice because when I'm bored and like instead of just grabbing my phone, I can just also like doodle a bit, which is kind of cool. So what I'm basically doing here is like I'm sort of installing offline apps into my notebook, which is like a really Gen Z way of putting things. And there's so many other things that you can do. For example, I keep also track of the things, of the songs that I try to practice on the guitar, recently on the ukulele, on the piano, and so that I keep track of the things that I want to practice, that I want to get better at. And another thing I like to do is to keep track of the books I'm reading at the moment and to maybe rate them, write down some thoughts about it, and just take a look at it and get creative. And as you can see, this is not rocket science. Okay, this is rocket science, but anyway. So just get yourself a pocket notebook as well and start being creative. Think about what functions would serve your life the most and just get started. And if you're someone that actually can fill up all those pages here, then you're probably someone that has many hobbies and interests as well. And in that case, there are a few rules that you have to follow that will make you make progress in all of your interests and hobbies at the same time. And I actually share them in this video right here that is called How I Manage Multiple Interests Like a Pro. So make sure to watch this if this sounds like you. Besides that, thank you so much for watching and hopefully see you next time. Bye bye.